The following episode of the Lions of Liberty podcast is dedicated to the memory of Dr. Marc Allan Feldman.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty.
That's right. Mark is not here. Brian McWilliams is with you today. Some of you will be happy. Some of you will be sad. And speaking of sad, we did have some sad news today, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But first, let me welcome you to the Lions of Liberty podcast, everybody. This is episode 222. You can find that lionsofliberty.com/222. So this is supposed to be a joyous occasion for the most part. We like to do our Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor shows, and we are going to be doing one of those and are currently drinking. I'm having a nice martini myself, made with some Kirkland vodka. That's Costco brand for you classy folk out there. But I do have some compatriots with me I'd like to welcome in. Coming from Virginia, Mr. Howie Snowden. Howie, what's up?
Hey, Brian. Glad to be here and talk about this sort of libertarian town hall.
You gave away the topic. I didn't even say it yet.
Sorry, man.
Who's hosting?
I've been drinking some America, formerly known as Budweiser.
And you just took my second question. This is absurd. All right, well, that's
Should I just host this and do your job for you? Or
just hang up and call back. No, okay. Okay, exactly right. Well, now that you spilled the beans, we are going to be talking about the CNN Libertarian Town Hall for what that is worth. And we'll have varying opinions on if that was worth something or not. Let me bring in my second guest here. You might know him from the very popular Felony Friday here in the Lions of Liberty podcast, which you can hear every Friday. And John Odermatt, what's happening, buddy?
What's up, Brian? Great to be here. Just like to say one thing. Howie Snowden and I tonight will be answering questions as a team. So it's a duo. It's a team effort. So just ask us a question and one of us will take it.
Excellent. I love it. Is one of you sticking your face in a freezer first, Bill Weld style?
That'll be Howie. That's on Howie. He loves freezers.
Yeah, I'm on that.
That's about right. And our final guest, you know him, you love him. We didn't think he was going to be here, but we brought him in for a very special reason today. Marc Clair, the host you love to hate. Hey, Mark.
2 minutes into hosting and you're already lying to people. You're telling them I'm not here. And in fact, here I am.
I also said they hated you. I think you're roughly well liked.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm listening, right? Yeah, I wish I was here for better circumstances. As you guys know, I am about to get on a plane. But as you guys know today, at least today when we're recording, it's going to be airing on Monday. But we did receive some very sad news at the passing of former Libertarian presidential candidate Marc Allan Feldman. And we still don't really have any information about what happened there, but it's very unexpected and very sad. So I wanted to come on with you guys and just kind of, talk about him for a few minutes and give a little, like I said, we at the top of the show, we're dedicating this episode to him because I think everybody here agrees he's really was a passionate guy, of someone who I know we might have had some different disagreements with on issues here and there. I actually really appreciate the way he took a sort of a nuanced approach to many issues, contrary to those of many libertarians. I thought he had a very unique way of approaching things, but it's very sad to see him go. I think he was someone I was looking forward to being a voice in the liberty movement going forward. And, the best we can do is, channel his spirit and his passion into our own activism.
Well, exactly right. And I think you nailed it a little bit here. He was a very unique voice in the Libertarian Party. I mean, let's be very honest in saying that it's hard to find libertarians that are likable. We're some of them, but overall, we do suffer a little bit from that. Libertarians are looked at as a little bit as condescending and know-it-alls and not necessarily the most fun people to talk to at a cocktail party. But Marc Allan Feldman really was an enjoyable guy. I mean, he was.
We are so fun at cocktail parties, by the way. If anyone hosts a cocktail party, just invite the Lions of Liberty. We are a blast.
It's going to be just like the Three Stooges when they're invited and they're knocking over things and people are in the punch bowl. It's going to be fantastic.
If Howie comes, make sure you got that freezer ready so he can stick his face in it.
Yeah, and Marc Allan Feldman, he was our chef. No, I kid. No, he was. I mean, he was a guy that you liked. It was hard not to like him because he had so much exuberance. He had so much just natural feeling for it. And as Mark said, we did hit him on a couple of points here and there where we might disagree, but he would come out and he would comment back. He would write in. He was very active in defending his positions or admitting, okay, yeah, you were right. I could learn something from that. So he was not an intractable man. And that flexibility was one of his greatest strengths, in my opinion.
Listener of the podcast, by the way, ever since he came on the show, I mean, he commented on multiple episodes. So, I mean, he was a regular listener of this program. And like you said, he would come into the forum. He was a member of our private group. He would respond to criticisms. I mean, he was very, very engaging. And I think everybody can agree he's a very honest person. He came across that way, and he just came across as somebody who, and he never voted until he's 50 years old. He thought politics wasn't something that there was a place for him, but he found something in the ideas of liberty that inspired him to get involved. And I think that's and you kind of touched on it there, the fact that he was so well liked. That was kind of his, not his strategy. I think he's honestly a likable guy, but I mean, there's a reason he was nominated, even though he didn't have that much support or chance to win. There's a reason he got into the debate speech at the Libertarian Party convention, is because he was basically everyone's second choice. I mean, nobody disliked him. You never heard a bad thing said about Marc Allan Feldman in the entire campaign. Literally, I can't think of one time I heard a bad word said about the guy. Everybody liked him. That's why they respected him enough to give him their tokens, get him on that debate stage, and boy, did he deliver a passionate speech/rap at that thing. This is that libertarian creed was just amazing and so inspiring.
And we will get that. That will be at the end of the show, guys. So stay tuned to the end of the episode. I know you're dreading it, but stay tuned. And you know what, Mark,
I just want to add.
Go ahead, please.
Just add one thing about Marc Allan Feldman. Obviously, ran a very unique campaign. He didn't want to take contributions anything more than $5. His whole campaign was about giving people a voice that didn't have a voice. And as you talked about, his speech at the Libertarian Convention, and this doesn't happen often in politics, where when someone is giving a speech that you get goosebumps. And I watched it today several times after I heard of the news of his passing. And every time I watched it, I would get literal goosebumps on my arms. Just an incredibly passionate man, and a terrible loss for liberty. So just very sad.
Well,
I was super impressed by Brian. I was super impressed by when Johnny Rocket from Johnny Rocket Launchpad was on talking about the convention. He told the story how Dr. Feldman saw a guy got hit by a car. There was a hit and run. He was one of the first to respond and help the guy out. There's also another drunk dude that was passed out. As soon as Marc Feldman got off the stage, he ran right over and assessed this guy, tried to take care of him, make sure he was all right. He was just a good dude who was trying to make the world a better place, and it's definitely worse off without him. But glad we got to hear him, and he was out there spreading the message, and he will be missed.
Most definitely. And that, Odie talked about the speech, and Mark mentioned his speech rap, his reap. That will, I think, live on. That'll be something that people look to as an inspiration. And Odie, I agree. I mean, I also got a little bit of chills from that too. It's so inspiring. And that's why you just have to hope that that's something that people will bring up, that'll be played at the convention to fire people up, that will be used over and over in, just to win people that in general that are looking to libertarianism or considering and say, look at this guy. This guy, he's kind, he's generous, he's smart, he's funny, he cares. And like Mark said, he didn't vote until he's 50. He came out of nowhere. I mean, talk about this guy coming out of left field, Bill Murray style at the U.S. Open. It's just incredible. So, cheers, guys. Let's raise a glass.
And I didn't mention, I am having a beer. I'm about to get on a plane. I'm having the opposite of, or not the opposite, but kind of the bizarro twin of Howie's America. I'm drinking actual Budweiser here, so I'm gonna toast this one to Marc Allan Feldman.
So yeah, let's raise a glass, and everybody drinking along with us, please do raise a glass to Marc Allan Feldman. May he rest in peace, but may his memory live on in the spirit of liberty.
Hear, hear.
And gentlemen, it's been lovely speaking with you. But honestly, with the mood I'm in today after hearing this sad news, I got to be honest, I'm kind of glad I don't have to spend the next 45 minutes or so talking about Gary Johnson and Bill Weld. So, gentlemen, I appreciate that you're going to stick around and do that. Enjoy. I'm out.
All right, Mark. Take it easy. Have a good flight. All right, guys. Well, we've lost two now if we're counting Marc Allan Feldman and Mark. Not that Mark's dead. But let's continue on. And, it's supposed to be lighthearted. This is supposed to be more of a fun show. So let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's start talking about the CNN Town Hall, which aired on Wednesday. Many of us were talking, and we actually did a forum. We have a forum wherein we discussed it live. You can type in and join along. And we have a free Facebook forum, Lions of Liberty Forum on Facebook. Please join. Unless you're a psychopath, we probably will let you in there. And we had a rousing conversation. Now, starting off, let's just start at the very beginning. What did you guys think when they first took the stage and came out as the Teamster way like they often do? Odie or Howie, just go ahead and start it up.
I think the thing that jumped out to me at first watching it, Gary Johnson was wearing dress shoes. That was honestly the first thing I noticed. He's not wearing sneakers. So that was the first thing that jumped out. I was like, okay, maybe we'll see a different Gary Johnson tonight. So I was a little bit excited just seeing his appearance.
Howie, how about you?
I mean, one of the things that stuck out to me about this team thing, I mean, I think you and Mark mentioned this, that it reminds you of the movie Step Brothers. They're interviewing together in tuxedos.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. And when one of the questions they asked Weld was, they were saying, Mitt Romney likes you. He was saying he wishes you were at the top of the ticket. And he was asking him about the dynamic between the two of them. And Weld's like, well, you know, I didn't want to be his VP. He's like, we're equal, or like, we're like whatever. It's just crazy to me. Like he really,
I think the direct quote was, we're equal partners in this.
They're equal partners.
Right.
It's not president, vice president. Like
it's they're looking at it as a business that they're just splitting 50-50. And the ego, you make a great point. The ego in Bill Weld is on display. Like I don't want to say he's looking down upon Gary, but we'll get to like some of his comments like about the IRS later. But clearly, yeah, he feels that he should be the real nominee here. I don't think anybody can debate that.
Well,
like,
he does.
Let's just talk about it for a minute. Like, how does he understand that they're not equal partners? I mean, Gary Johnson is running for president, Bill Weld for vice president. There's there's very different duties, very different job descriptions with those two positions. You can't just change it and say we're equal partners. That doesn't.
That sometimes gets muddled. Though, if you look at like George Bush and Dick Cheney, I mean, Cheney might have been calling a lot of the shots there. It's
maybe, I don't know. I think Georgie was more devious than we give him credit for.
Perhaps
he bait and switched America pretty damn good, man. I don't know. He's like that. He's got that bumpkin thing going on, but then he pulls it out. You're like, he's getting a little sneaky here.
Now he's just painting pictures in Texas, just painting away.
I saw that. I want one of those so bad. Oh my God! Please get us one for the Lions of Liberty Studios listeners. We're gonna put up a GoFundMe account for to get one of George Bush's paintings to keep in the background.
Probably just a couple $100, right? Can't be more than that. I don't
think be. So, guys, you know what? I want to talk about something. Speaking of past presidents and hopefully not other future presidents, but one of the things that really stuck in my craw was one of the first lines of questioning that the moderator, and I can't remember his name, and I'm too lazy to look it up. But
is it Cuomo?
Cuomo, yeah, I think it was Cuomo. Yeah. So he brought up and he said, wait, give me a quick take response, one word response on some of these things, and he brought up Obama and Hillary Clinton. Now, for those of you that did not watch the town hall and are relying on our drunken commentary, let me just tell you exactly what happened here. So when they asked Johnson his thoughts on Obama, he replied, good guy. Think he's a good guy. Now, either you think that was a little bit odd, Howie. Let's start with Howie. What's your take on Johnson coming out and saying that Obama, good guy?
That whole first segment, I was infuriated. I mean, we're talking about Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump, who they actually did say something negative about. But I mean, the point is for them to point out how corrupt and awful these people are and why they're different, why they stand out, not like, oh, good guy. Then when they got to Hillary Clinton, and Weld is like, oh, we're lifelong friends, deep connection.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's not skip too far ahead because I'll spill all the beans now since how he's gonna run over anyway. So in regards to Clinton, so here's what happened. Obama came out. Johnson said, oh, yeah, good guy. And Bill Weld, I believe, said, paraphrasing here, but said, "Oh yeah, he's really come around lately." It's like, okay, really,
he's a statesman. He called him a statesman.
Yeah, he's true statesman. And then in Hillary Clinton, Johnson she said that she was an excellent servant of the state, and I could not believe that because just like Howie's saying,
he's a wonderful public servant,
a wonderful public servant, right? Exactly.
Are you kidding? The most corrupt, self-serving, lying politician ever, and it's It's just amazing. You'd think they would want to stand out and be different from the regular options that we have.
Right. Exactly.
And now, like, I realized, okay, Gary Johnson just wants to say something nice about everyone, but then they get to Trump and they don't. And out of the three of them, I don't like Trump at all, but if I was gone to try to say something nice about everyone, at least he shook the system up and he's, tearing down the establishment. And the other two, I can't believe that they would have something positive, which is just nonsense about them. But nothing, I don't know. It's right off the bat, I had a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't think they were going to do well. And it was just like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, Odie, look, give me, Odie, what would you have said in regards to either Obama or Hillary Clinton? And also, I challenge you to do it in your best Gary Johnson impression.
Well, I don't know if I can do that. Let me say, first of all, I think it's a terrible, stupid, waste of time question to even ask. You're asking about like personality traits about these other, the president and the other candidates, or at least that's how they interpreted and answered, saying good guy, nice person, wonderful public servant. I think that's dumb. I mean, they should have deflected and said, Barack Obama might be a great guy, good guy, but his policies are awful. And then go talk about that, use it as Gary Johnson kept talking about this wonderful opportunity of being on CNN. This is such a great opportunity. I think during the introduction, he muttered even that when they said, what, Gary Johnson, Bill Weld, welcome. Well, it's just a great opportunity to be here. So happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on, man.
And all the rest
There's my Gary impersonation.
I know. It was fantastic. Spot on. But yeah, the rest of us are thinking, God, it's great for you to be here wasting this opportunity.
Exactly.
Completely throwing it away. I was pissed off he didn't, like I said, you could use this as a perfect springboard. They don't have to come up. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama do not have to come up at any point in the conversation. They're here at the beginning. Great. Use it as a springboard to talk about Obama's gun grab and his executive actions that he does, his executive overreach, his wars that he's undertaken under presidential authority, the amount of times he's tried to skirt Congress in every way, shape, and form. How about that? Instead of saying, oh, yeah, he's a good guy. He's a great guy.
Statesman. He's a statesman. Great statesman.
The more that Bill Weld says like positive about Hillary Clinton, how they have such a close bond, it just reminds me they're both CFR members. And it's like my distrust for him just grows and grows. It's like he's got to be a neocon like her. He's probably going to be doing the same crony stuff with the same crony people. If they have all the same connections with such admiration, it's just...
Well, he definitely comes across as neocon. And this, at no time other than when he was, and the only time I guess is when he's talking about gay rights. That's his big claim to fame for Bill Weld. Well, you know what? I supported the gays back when nobody supported the gays. But in every other way, I'm completely neocon, is essentially his positions.
Yeah, that's what makes him, that's his claim to the mantle of being the original libertarian, that he supported gay rights. And that's it. That's the only thing he supported. Everything else, he's been a neocon.
If you're from Massachusetts, you probably already felt like that. It doesn't matter what party you're from.
Right. Well, it's like saying like Hitler was a patron of the arts, and that's so he was the original patron of the arts, not the original Nazi. It's like give me a fucking break.
I saw what you did there. You flipped the Bill Weld comparison on him.
I did.
He likes to call Trump Hitler. You flipped it. I flipped it on him.
I put him. I drew a swastika on a mattress. I flipped it right on his red head. So I mentioned gun control because I'm gonna try to keep this show tight. So I mentioned gun control, and they had someone come up. She was at the Pulse nightclub on the night of the Orlando shooting, which of course is a tragedy. No one's going to argue that. And she was talking about, what are we going to do about gun rights? And meanwhile, she's a gun owner herself, to which I say kudos. And we talked about it, at least online, posted several stories about the fact that they call them pink pistols. It's a gay gun rights group saying arm yourselves, which I think is the right thing to do. But what do you guys think about their response on gun control when questioned about what they would do? And let's have Odie start.
Well, I mean, I think it was good and bad. I think it was good for Gary Johnson to say, first of all, let's just say we're not looking to roll back any gun rights, not looking to add on any more gun control. That was a good thing. I wish he would have gone a step farther and kind of explained the position, explained that human beings, individuals have a right to defend themselves, and also talk about how people that are the most vulnerable in society, women, gays, people with disabilities, people that are vulnerable, most importantly, need to have a right to a gun. People that are, well, I guess getting on a different topic, I was going to say people that are intellectually challenged, mentally disabled, should have a right to defend themselves. But Gary Johnson would stray from that probably.
Yeah, exactly right. Because he went down that mentally ill road saying we should keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. But how do you define that, and who defines that is the question.
Exactly. And I mean, obviously, the terrible part of this whole thing they talked about, him and Weld both talked about. I think Gary even said, "Yeah, Bill Weld brought up this his plan for this ISIS committee. We add like 100 people. We can track down, domestic ISIS tracking people. So it'll be great. So we'll just expand government."
And Bill Weld did not. I thought Bill Weld, after getting criticized by the libertarian community, for whose party he is vice president, candidate for vice president. Let's not forget that. You would have thought he would have backtracked those comments a little bit, but no, doubled down on him during this debate. Yeah, 1,000 strong. Just, we'll treat him like a mafia family. We'll just go after him. It's like, how is that not the antithesis of what libertarian strategy and thought would be on this problem? You just want to assign 1,000 more federal agents to a massive force we've already spent billions on. Go ahead, Eric.
I'll give him a little bit of credit, though. I mean, the threat in America from ISIS is more like a criminal problem than a war. They're not really a state with an army. We're not at war. The small scale attacks that have happened or might happen, it more is like dealing with the criminal problem. I mean,
all right, but that being said,
not that we need 1,000 more people working on it, because we already have God knows how many resources and all the money we're spending on this. But I don't know. I guess I'm like them trying to think of something nice to say. I do agree that this should be treated as, an American homeland soil as like a criminal problem, kind of.
Do you guys honestly believe that ISIS had anything to do with this? I think it was a guy that was gay, that was shunned by the gay community, that was, he grew up in a very strict home. His father hated homosexuals, probably hated his own son. This guy, maybe to his face, maybe knew that he was gay. And this guy lashed out. I think it had nothing to do with ISIS. I think that was sort of an outlet, sort of an escape and an excuse that this psychopath made to do it.
Yeah, Odie, his ex-boyfriend, came out and said that was what was going on, was because he felt used by these people, that he was, 100% homosexual, and it was more like a rejection thing, that he didn't fit in the community and he felt used and they didn't accept him and this and that. And it doesn't really sound like he had anything to do with ISIS at all. It's just a crazy, messed up person. And
yeah, and if he didn't have the last name, if his first name wasn't Omar and if his last name wasn't Mateen, I'm sure we would not be having this discussion. We've not in regards to ISIS anyway. Now, one thing I want to go back to for a second, though, about what Gary said as well. One of the things that really pissed me off is that he said he didn't know why the shooter still had guns after the FBI investigations. Now, the FBI investigated him, and they had to stop investigating because they didn't find anything concrete to keep patrolling, to keep wiretapping, doing whatever they were doing. And for Gary to be like, I don't know why he still had guns. And we talked about this before in regards to what the Democrats are trying to do. It's a thing called due process. That's why he still had his guns, Gary. Maybe you should talk about that. Hey, you can't take away people's right to bear arms because you think they might have done something, especially when Gary loves to go on and on about how government lists are bad. He did it in this debate, and he was right in this debate to say government lists are bad. They're error-riddled. How many people are on the no-fly list that shouldn't be? It's just to say this and to speak out of both sides of his mouth on it really just drives me up the goddamn wall.
Hey, one thing I'd like, can I point out something about these? Go ahead. What people have been calling for with the no fly, no buy, whatever, and Trump came out and supported this. I guarantee you a lot of his supporters are like, you know what? Yeah, we got to keep the guns out of the hands of terrorists. But then, you know what? Hillary Clinton's going to become president, and all you people are going to be put on the list because you're right-wing extremists. So now you're terrorists.
Right.
And these things are so subjective. Who gets on the list, or who's mentally stable and who's not mentally stable? These aren't like it's a slippery slope, as you guys pointed out. But and not to get too libertarian, but I'm glad
this
he
is
said
a libertarian
that
podcast. We are libertarians in living rooms drinking liquor.
I'm glad he said he doesn't want any new gun laws, but doesn't anybody think we already have too many? That it's too hard for people to be able to adequately defend themselves?
Yeah, good.
How about rolling something back? That's what I want to hear. I know that's not going to happen, but come on, he is a libertarian candidate, right?
Yeah, Howie, I think that's a great point. I mean, if Hillary gets in there, not arresting the Trump supporters, but taking their guns away, putting them on the watch list. But the same thing could happen if Trump was elected. I mean, imagine, of course, Trump, he could single out Bernie Sanders supporters or really anyone that disagreed with him. He could single out people in the media. I mean, well,
the Bernie Sanders supporters are pretty violent.
They are very violent.
That is true.
It does usually come from the left.
Yeah.
They throw rocks. Yeah, we actually talked about that in the last. Actually, maybe that's coming up on that. Oh, I don't know when this is airing, but it's on a recent.
What year is this? Yeah,
Too many episodes.
We'll pull back the curtain. We record these shows and before the air dates very often. So half the time we have shows coming up and we think we already record them. So in our minds they're recorded, but they're coming up. It's very confusing.
Just recorded randomly and hit mix and they just spit out. So we don't know when they're going to come out.
It's just like a Pez dispenser with podcasts. That's what we like to think about it. Just whenever you whack the head, just one of them pops out. Just smack us in the head, guys. We'll make a podcast for you. Where were we? All right. Yeah. No, Howie, excellent points on that. Anody, great points. Agreed completely. And I always try to make that point to people whenever they talk about different legislations that go after a specific segment of people or a specific ideology, and especially when it comes to free speech, too. Because so often you have political, not just in politics, but you have an entire cultural make a complete change in its viewpoint. I mean, look, people forget that slavery for a long time was considered perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Segregation, perfectly fine. It takes
law of the land. Law of the land, right?
It takes time. It takes time for people to change their point of view. And by attacking it, if these laws, if people had been able to stifle free speech back in the days, we would still have segregation and we'd still have slavery because they would just have gone and put these people in jail or stifled their speech, anybody who spoke out against these horrible things. So no one can say, no, you can't say that. No, you can't do that. Or to you guys' point, label somebody as, oh, this person should be on a list because of something they said.
What did you guys think about Johnson's thing last night about, hey, that's the law of the land. We're going to respect that. It's the law of the land. That doesn't mean something's right.
No. What was he talking about with that?
I think the first time he was saying that, it was about abortion. He was saying, access to abortion is the law of the land. We're not going to.
Correct. That was, Bill Weld was talking about how, it was the law of the land is that you can get an abortion. He's saying on a federal level, it's legal. Of course, that gets into a whole the states' rights thing, which, of course, from my point of view, we say, yes, states should have the rights. We agree. But at some fundamental level, people should have.
I just wish they were more careful with their words, because as libertarians, we're upset about so many things that are quote unquote the law of the land that are, they may be unconstitutional, they may be immoral, but they're currently the law of the land. So I don't know. Just something about that argument rubbed me wrong. I didn't.
Right. You can't say it's the law of the land for something that you like and then ignore something you don't like or cry foul.
Well, the way the government's set up, you wouldn't want a libertarian candidate just to come in, get elected, and then just start, using executive orders just to change things. I mean, they have to follow the law. Really, the laws have to change through Congress.
Right. But presidents should try to influence Congress. They make the proposals.
Yeah, absolutely.
They twist arms. You know how it works. They like the Game of Thrones, kind of.
Wouldn't know. I haven't seen it. Never seen the show.
It's too bad. I love the Game of Thrones, man. All right, well, we won't talk about it unless there'll be spoilers. All right, so let's move on from gun control now. Why don't we talk a little bit about the health care issue? And it was I think ahead of the Libertarian Party in New York or wherever it was that they were doing this town hall. But he had brought up the topic of health care in a very specific and very interestingly worded way, basically positioning it that the libertarians, he's saying, as libertarians is the position to let somebody that has willingly been able to afford health care and let it go, should they be helped by society or not? Is it a libertarian standpoint that they should be basically left to die by society? So Gary kind of tiptoed around a little bit, and I feel he kind of missed the mark because he had said that, well, no, libertarians, society needs to take care of the people that are fall through the cracks and yada yada yada. So, what did you guys think about that? And follow-up question: what do you think he should have said?
I think what libertarians believe, it's kind of like a dual mandate. We believe in personal freedom for you to make your own choices for yourself, but the flip side of that is personal responsibility. Take responsibility for those decisions. If you decide to do something ridiculous and awful, like you shouldn't be able to force someone else to make up for your mistake. And even just I'm talking kind of morally what's right, but if you're a consequentialist like Gary Johnson and you're just worried about like, oh, but there's going to be people who make dumb decisions, we can't just let them die, right? Well, you know what? America is one of the most charitable nations in the world. More people in America give to charity than vote. And if we had a more libertarian type government where people aren't being taxed as much, and we maybe would have a more prosperous economy, that the amount given to charity and helping people would be even greater.
Well, you know what? Sorry, let me interrupt you just real quick on that note, because I believe it was the late, great Marc Allan Feldman's platform that any charitable donations would be removed from your taxes. That was one of the things he had put out there during the debates. So
that's an excellent idea. I remember he put that on the Lions Liberty podcast, I believe.
Yeah, so
that was one of the things.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, keep going. Sorry.
In those instances, most people are going to use common sense. Like, hey, I might get sick, I might get hurt. I should probably use some insurance, at least the bare minimum catastrophic insurance, which is probably all a lot of people need. But for those, the folks that don't, people should not be forced to fix their screw up.
Well, that's the thing. It's the coercive aspect of government that gets involved in that. People are, exactly, being forced to do it. Otherwise, okay, you don't want to pay for this health care that everybody's got to pay. If you don't want to pay for okay, you go to jail. I mean,
we all make mistakes, but we've got family, friends, churches, and there's so much charitable giving and caring in America. It's amazing. I'm very proud of that aspect of this nation. And, I don't think we need the mandate. I don't think we need national health care. It's a mess. The prices are skyrocketing. We'd be so much better off. Everyone would be better off if the government just got out of the healthcare business entirely.
I mean, I agree with you guys. I think that Gary Johnson's answer was actually pretty decent. But like you talked about how I think he talked about his own personal insurance premiums have like quadrupled or something crazy like that since Obamacare. And then he started talking about a little about the insurance really is not made to be like just to go to a doctor, you need insurance. It should be like if you get in serious trouble, get seriously hurt, then, I need my insurance to pay for that. And that's what insurance meant to be. And I think he did a decent job explaining that. And he also
that's where I disagree. I think they were very good points, and I think he was right, but he was very inarticulate and just rambling and like jumping from one thing to the next.
Well, at no point
I think my bar for Gary Johnson is so low. Like when I say decent job, I mean he said something vaguely about it. So I'm just
saying I think he had a couple good points, but the way he presents himself and speaks, I don't think anyone would catch it.
Do you think he came across? I thought he came across as exceptionally weak and honestly looked really stupid when he said, "Well, I don't know. I'll see. I'll let the Congress. I'll let the GOP take a shot at Obamacare and see what they do with it."
Well, I mean, yes and no. I think this is where the problem is his vagueness, because I see where he's coming from. I mean, you're not just going to say, "Yeah, I'll repeal Obamacare. Let's repeal it." Because the Republicans could put something in front of you that repeals it and put something in place that's worse. So, yeah, I mean, you're not just going to say, repeal it, whatever, let's replace it.
You guys are missing the point, though. The Congress does that, but the president usually will put together a plan and present it to Congress for their consideration. He should have something in mind. He shouldn't just be like,
that is the point. Exactly. That is the point, is that on so many topics during this town hall, I keep on calling it a debate and I keep on to check myself mentally. During this town hall, he comes across without a plan. Like, for example, the question about taxes, he talked about the fair tax. Okay, fine, fair tax. But then when he was pushed by the moderator about the specifics of it, he was like, "Oh, I don't know. Let's not get into the weeds on it. It's like." Yeah, you look like you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't have the personality and the bluster of a Donald Trump, where you can brush that off and look like, I don't need to talk about it because I know it. He just looked like he didn't want to talk about it because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Can you imagine if it wasn't Cuomo asking these questions and he was in a debate with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton? He would have been eviscerated. And I think the worst thing that could happen for the Libertarian Party is for him to actually get in debates. I think that'll hurt us more than anything. He's polling at about like 9% now, but the more people that hear him and how ridiculous he is, it's just going to go down.
I just have this image of Gary Johnson on stage. For some reason, the image is he's between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And it's just Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump just pointing at Gary Johnson laughing. Look at this guy's hair. Look at his hair. You take him seriously with that?
He does have a ridiculous haircut. And something else.
It's the worst haircut I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding.
Not that this matters at all. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I really hate Weld's taste in ties. He wears awful ties.
They're like the epitome of like what a costume designer would put on a senator in a movie, like a bad movie. That's what
I feel like it's like what they put on like a Muppet or Sesame Street person
right,
that's
like pretending to be in Congress.
yeah. It's terrible.
Maybe that'll be a Photoshop.
Do you guys think Gary Johnson will bring Bill Weld with him on stage for the Trump Hillary debates?
Odie, say that again. Sorry.
Do you guys think that Gary Johnson will bring Bill Weld with him on stage for the presidential debates if he gets there?
You know what I hope? I hope he'll be under the podium he's at, like the prostitute from Police Academy. Does anybody? Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, our listeners old enough.
Oh yeah, of course I know. I love that movie.
But there's a great scene where the commissioner is out on stage giving a speech, and Mahoney hires a prostitute to be under the podium, giving him the old heave ho. So hopefully, Bill Weld will be under that podium, giving Gary Johnson the old heave ho. You can only hope.
You know what? Gary Johnson is way more libertarian than Bill Weld, but Bill Weld presents himself so much better and so much more articulate. I almost kind of wish that
Bill Weld was.
I mean, that Weld was the presidential candidate. I mean, knowing that neither of them would be president, but just if we could keep him to the libertarian talking points, he would get him across much better.
Well, you know what? That's an interesting point, because at this point, look, Bill Weld's out there for every damn interview anyway. So, I mean, I guess maybe if you flip-flopped him, it would be a better result. We wouldn't look so stupid out there.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just so embarrassed. I mean, I know we agree with Gary Johnson on so many policy issues, but his fundamental philosophy is just flawed. And
well, what about Bill Weld saying that? Did you guys catch this? He said something, and I can't remember what the context of it was, but he said something about like, well, the United States should definitely deny South Korea and Japan nuclear weapons. You know, do you remember hearing that?
Yeah. Where do we get off? We're not the policemen of the world. We're not. Who says we can have nuclear weapons and no one else can? And I mean, I don't know.
That was just a little bit. It was a little bit after Gary Johnson. I think Bill Weld even chimed in, and they were talking about, libertarians, we believe in non-intervention. You know, we want to have a strong military defense, but we don't want to intervene and tell other countries how to run their business. And then like a couple questions later, we can't let them have nukes. Those crazy little countries. Why would you let them have nukes? They might kill somebody.
And it's like it's also like two of our best allies too. And it's
I know exactly. It's like if
we're not gonna do anything about North Korea having nukes or Pakistan, but not South Korea and Japan.
Right, exactly. The libertarian philosophy has always been whatever. If you can have whatever you want, if I can have it, you can have it. You have the same right to defend yourself as I do. But if you attack us, we will defend ourselves with the full arsenal at our capabilities. So, that just drove me nuts. And then while we're just talking about Bill Weld and his crazy positions, the ridiculousness of when they were asked about the tax issue and Gary Johnson saying, well, we'd like to rewrite the tax code and simplify the tax code. And, we don't need the IRS. We can get rid of them. And then Bill Weld, within 4 seconds, then says, no, we need to keep the IRS. It's like, are you kidding me right now?
That's kind of like he was out of line right there. You don't do that to your
no.
If you're the VP candidate.
He threw him right under the bus and just made Johnson look stupid, and he made himself look stupid by not going along with them. It's like, are you debating your own partner right now? Are you debating your own teammate on stage in front of America at this town hall?
I don't think Weld is running as VP for Gary Johnson or for any of this. He's doing something for himself, and he's making that clear.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I can't figure out what the hell Bill Weld's motivation is. I mean, getting his name out there, sure, maybe he's going to write a book, make some money, do some speaking. But I mean, aside from that, I guess you can make some decent money just from doing that. But what's in it for him? Why is he pretending to be a libertarian? I really don't understand it at all. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Why is he pretending to be libertarian? It seems like if you look at his positions, not enough really overlaps. Like, how did he magically woo Gary Johnson? Did he put a belly dancing ring in and hypnotize him to get him on board? Like, and Gary Johnson was adamant. He was the guy that wanted Bill Weld. He's, I'm not doing it without Bill Weld. It's like, why? For what reason? In the cosmos, he's not libertarian in any way.
Apparently, it's to get Hillary Clinton elected, because they've just been fellatiing her ego on stage for.
Do you think that Gary Johnson, Bill Weld, and Donald Trump are all trying to get Hillary Clinton elected?
Dun, dun, dun.
Did she have them all?
Tune in next time, children. Next, same bad time, same bad channel for the stunning conclusion.
Next on the Alex Jones Show.
Hey, I was kind of waiting until it got brought up, but one of the worst things about that town hall last night, I thought, was the answer to the question from that woman about drugs.
Perfect, Howie. Thank you. Exactly right. That was going to be the next thing I talked about. So let's talk about it. Do you remember it well enough that you can describe it to our listening populace?
Sure. There was a woman in the crowd who got up, and she told a story about her son had gone out when he was a teenager, and he did a line of heroin, and she said it didn't end well for him. He ended up aspirating. He had brain damage. Now he can barely speak. He has to be fed through like a feeding tube in his stomach. He can speak a little bit. He goes out and they go to things, and he tells people not to do drugs. And she said to Gary Johnson, she said, "So tell me, Governor, you, someone who's advocated from legalizing all drugs from marijuana straight through to heroin, how is that a model for harm reduction?" And he blew it.
Yeah.
This should be the easiest question a libertarian could possibly be asked. First of all, the way she asked it, how is this a model for harm reduction? Okay, first of all, if you're not buying it off the street and you're getting it at a pharmacy, you know that it's actually the drug you're buying. You know that it's actually the quantity that it's supposed to be, which a lot of these overdoses come from. And
he did, to his credit, he did talk about that a little bit. He did talk about the quantity.
He talked about having government-run programs, I guess we pay for through our taxes, where we have these little centers where people could come in with their street drugs that are probably not great, get them tested, make sure they're real, and they could shoot up there. I don't like that communist fix for this. I would prefer the free market. You actually get it from a pharmacy. And I mean, it's where do you get the right anyways to lock someone up in a jail for doing something that doesn't harm anyone but besides possibly themselves? That should be one of the most libertarian things. Do you own your body and your mind, or do you not? Can you not do with your own body and with your own mind what you want? We're going to put people in jail for this? And I mean, the whole thing, just talking about, I mean, I agree with Gary Johnson. I like the fact they want to treat it as a health issue and not a criminal issue. Well, that's great. And another thing about him saying he doesn't want to legalize anything else besides marijuana. Well, what about Iboga or Ibogaine, which has an 80% success rate for treatment of heroin addicts? I've brought this up on many podcasts because I hope anyone that has this problem and hears it could go and seek help. It's a drug that it stops withdrawals immediately, and it's a heavy psychoactive drug. It's a pretty rough, intense experience, but at the end of it, 80% of people are able to kick their opioid drug addictions. Well, it's illegal.
Let's not forget something too that's important that people forget this in the shuffle. And I think he should have brought this up as well, is that people refer to the heroin epidemic. Now, this woman lost her child, or didn't lose him, but essentially lost her child. Now, that's horrible. Okay, fine. It's too bad that happened. As we know, that's something that could be cured with knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're snorting. But also, at the height, the heroin quote-unquote epidemic is at its height right now. And it's still something like the deaths a year, 3,000. I mean, it's honestly, I hate to say it, I don't want to say callous, but it's negligible. So
and
look at this. Go ahead.
What's the deaths a year from alcohol then?
Right,
like,
exactly. 10 times that easily. That's something that it's such a small amount of people actually
cigarettes.
Doing these drugs. Yeah, from cigarettes, from everything. Just it's so tiny, and we're making such a big thing, spending so much money and putting so many people in prison for this thing that affects so few people. And also, it drives me insane that Gary Johnson didn't bring up the fact that other countries have decriminalized all of these drugs. Portugal had a horrible drug problem. I shouldn't say drug problem. They had drug violence. They were fighting a drug war, spending billions and billions of dollars. And they said, you know what, we're going to try something different. We're going to decriminalize all of it. And you know what happened? Usage rates went down every single year. Deaths went down every single year. And the government didn't have to spend billions of dollars and incarcerate, half their population for it.
We've spent billions of dollars on the war on drugs for no result. And this ties into the whole gun control thing when everyone's talking about we have all these mass shootings all the time. They're classifying that as a shooting that kills more than one person. A lot of that is like four people. A lot of this is gang warfare, like drug violence, things like that, because of the black market and illegal drug trade. If we legalize drugs and got rid of the black market, we're solving our gun problem at the same time.
Odie, you have anything to add to this?
I thought it was, really interesting. Gary Johnson obviously should have had a lot of time to prepare for a question like this. Obviously, everyone knows that Gary Johnson smokes weed, likes to get high, and he seems like he says every time he's asked about it, he quit smoking 6 weeks ago. That never changes to 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks ago. But whatever, we won't talk about that now. But he didn't formulate a free market solution to it. All he does is, as you guys talked about, he references Switzerland, Vancouver. He doesn't talk about bringing these drugs just out in the open naturally and letting the free market take care of it. People that have, people, if you're getting heroin at a pharmacy, if you're getting heroin prescribed to you from your doctor's not going to kill you. Your doctor has no interest in killing you. Your doctor would get sued if they killed you. So, there's no incentive to have this stuff in the back alleys of society. And finally, it was Bill Weld that did reference, we got to bring this out of the back alleys. I don't know if he actually believes that or what, if he's just going along with Gary Johnson. But I think another aspect of this that's interesting is, of course, they brought up a very emotionally charged individual, a mother who pretty much lost her son for all intents and purposes, and is asking it from that angle. And it's hard to reason with someone on that emotional level. I
hate questions like that for that exact reason. It's just, it's like a trap question. You look like an insensitive jerk if you try to answer it honestly. And it's just,
It's not a trap though, because when you answer it honestly, you explain how less people will be hurt if things were the other way.
I'm saying for the general American, though, it will come across as callous. But I agree with you. You need to explain it and make it make sense and why this is a benefit rather than a drawback of doing these things, and how it will help everybody to cause less death.
One thing that I think needs to be pointed out here is that I don't think it's that Gary Johnson has a not very libertarian position on this, because he said different things in the past. He's watering it down and changing his message to be more acceptable. He doesn't believe that.
They called him out on it too.
And that's when
she called him out on it.
People like Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump this election cycle, people like them because they believe what they say. And like that goes back to the whole Ron Paul thing. He was genuine. He said how it was, and people respected that. And even if you disagreed with him, the truth has a certain ring to it, and you just can't get out of your head, and it sits with you. And it's
Ron Paul was amazing in that regard. And how about God?
Libertarians shouldn't be bullshitters. We should say it how it is, and that's people want to hear it. People want the truth. They're sick of the lying politicians. They're sick of the lies. He would be so much better served if you just embrace. I think from what he said in the past, he apparently is more libertarian than he was trying to portray himself on this town hall. And he should just be him. As a matter of fact, he should not stop smoking weed because he's doing this. He's done amazing things in the past while smoking weed. He probably did worse at the town hall because he wasn't smoking weed.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If we wanted somebody that was going to walk the line between libertarian and conservative, as Bill Weld and Johnson have done, honestly, I would have rather had Rand Paul up there. Because Rand Paul,
hell yeah.
He actually, when you look back, it's funny because we did a whole show dedicated to him and we ripped him accordingly, but we also gave him credit. Rand was very good in debates towards the end, and he could really talk about a lot of these positions. Like, let's talk about a couple of things to wrap it up. One of the things I want to talk about is Syria and unintended consequences, where that's one where Rand, my God, they asked Gary Johnson a question about military spending and how to balance the budget and foreign policy. And Rand would have destroyed that question, talking about how we need to bring the troops home. We need to rein in. Well, maybe not. But my point being, Rand can talk about unintended consequences and blowback and the ill effects of us going and getting involved in places like Syria and really be passionate about it to the point where you say, okay, that makes sense. I believe this guy. He knows what he's talking about. Rand at no point came across as stupid. And that's where you look at Gary Johnson now and you go, my God, what I wouldn't give to swap him. Not that Rand's perfect, give me that button, man.
Even if Rand were the Republican candidate right now, I would definitely be supporting Rand, not Johnson.
And I think
no doubt.
Yeah. Odie, I was just gonna say, Odie, do you think Republicans at this point, or Libertarians at this point, if Rand got the nomination, would just say, "Oh my God," even if they were presented a Libertarian Party ticket like this, would they flock to Rand?
Yeah, of course. I don't think Gary Johnson would get any support. He'll be done if Rand somehow stole the nomination from Trump or something like that. Gary Johnson would be done. He'll get 0.1%, something like stupid like that.
A boy can dream.
Is it just me? I don't see how any of the people. I don't see how Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or Gary Johnson are going to be able to become the president. Like, I feel like Hillary is going to get arrested. She's going to be indicted. I feel like the Republicans are going to screw Trump out of this somehow. And just Gary is just, no one's going to vote for him. I don't see how any of them are going to win this election. I really don't know what's going to happen.
Neither do I. I'm struggling with the same thing. But honestly, it's as sick as it makes me to say it. I really think Trump's going to lock it up somehow.
He might. You know what I find fascinating is that we have three parties. We have a three-party race for the first time in forever. And none of the candidates that are leading their parties actually represent what their parties believe in.
None of
that's democracy, baby. Yeah.
Seriously, think about it. Hillary Clinton is a warmongering neocon who has gone against gays and against civil rights and against the drugs. So that's who the Democrats have. They're trotting out there. Then you have Donald Trump who doesn't jive with half of the Republican views, and then you've got us with Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, who of course go against with their neocon views, go against half of what we believe in. I mean, good God.
At least the Green Party picked someone who actually espouses their beliefs.
Yeah, well, hey, Jill Stein's 68% on my I side with, although Gary was 95%. Of course, that's what he used to believe, not what he's saying now in town halls.
Who even knows what he believes?
Yeah. I side with is stupid. I'm just going to say it. I think it's a waste of time. It's dumb.
I agree.
No one knows that website.
Well, let's try to wrap this up a little bit, guys. I've obviously bogarted a lot of the topics as a host. Let me ask, either of you want to bring up one other topic real quick that we talk about for a minute or two from the town hall? Odie, go ahead. Start us off if you have anything.
Yeah, let's just talk about TPP, free trade for a minute. Very disappointing. Obviously, before this town hall, Bill Weld came out saying that I'm with the administration on this. Obviously, I'm with the administration.
He's with the administration. God damn, it's annoying.
And he even referenced it. And he said, "Yeah, I remember, working with Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton, counting votes for NAFTA. Blah blah blah. I'm such a neocon. I love it. I love it so much." Loves the TPP. And then Gary Johnson during the town hall jumped right in bed with Bill Weld and said he also supports the TPP. But Gary Johnson's stance is even worse because he says he's in favor of free trade. We don't need these agreements. We just need free trade. But I'm in favor of the TPP because
and he rails against crony capitalism. And the TPP is that's all it is. It's 150 pages of crony capitalism.
It's literally 100% crony capitalism. That's all it is. That is it.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
But anyway, it's terrible.
Howie, what about you?
I can't really think about anything else from the town hall I want to bring out, but folks, tonight.
Yeah, medical questions.
Tonight is June 23rd with the results for the Brexit vote are coming in. I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about that at all?
No, we don't have the time, man. That's for another podcast. It is a fascinating topic, though, and it looks like Great Britain might actually leave the European Union, which is fascinating. But I don't know, man. We can't talk about it now. There is no time to do such a thing. But
Howie, I got a question for you.
I guess
what's your view on the consumption tax? Gary Johnson in favor of the consumption tax. What do you think?
I think it's probably better than, well, it's definitely better than the system we've got going right now. But it definitely doesn't work out as neat numbers wise as he says. It's not, as Cuomo called him out on. He's like, well, we got to do a little adjusting here. It's not set in stone. Like, yeah, you can't. He makes it sound simple. Like, we get rid of income tax, corporate tax, this and that, the consumption tax at whatever it was, 20% and it all balances out. It doesn't. It would probably be a good idea to do something like that, and along with some spending cuts. And I don't know.
I still like Rand Paul's tax plan, 14.5% across the board. Done.
Yeah, I like it. That's better. That's better.
Everything done, because the consumption tax does impact the lower classes more as far as their tax rate, but still,
yeah.
That's what I really don't like about the consumption tax is it raises taxes on about half of American citizens who right now pay no taxes. And actually, a lot of them get some money back, which they probably shouldn't be. They're taking money,
no, they shouldn't get money back. Yeah, they should not be spending more money accordingly.
But the poorest people in this country are already getting crushed by the Federal Reserve. Then you're going to put a consumption tax on top of that. It's really, really not fair. And I don't think it's very libertarian at all.
Agreed.
Hey, actually, one thing I'd like to say before we wrap this up. I mean, one thing I do agree with, these candidates on is their support for gay rights. And if we do have any gay listeners that, support these guys, can someone please get them decent haircuts and decent ties and make sure Gary's wearing real shoes?
If Your Eye for the Street Guy existed, Gary Johnson needs to be on it. Can we bring it back for one special episode?
Yes,
for Gary
please.
Johnson, please. And Bill Weld, both of them. Get them
help the party out. Get these guys put together. We can't have this.
All right.
Somebody mail Gary Johnson a comb, for the love of God.
One quick question, and we'll wrap on this. Give a very short answer, guys. 10 seconds. If you are an undecided voter, or if you are a disenfranchised Bernie or a GOP supporter, and you're looking for a third party option, did Gary and Bill win you over tonight?
I guess I'll take that first. So actually, I am undecided right now because I was not committed to voting Libertarian going into this. I am a registered Libertarian. I am a dues-paying Libertarian recently, but I would say watching this town hall, Gary Johnson, Bill Weld, their performance, I am farther from voting for the Libertarian Party in this election, which is sad to say. I will vote for down-ticket Libertarians. Not going to affect that. I love a lot of down-ticket Libertarians. But yeah, I can't say that I'm going to vote for Bill and Gary, and they got to change a lot to get my vote.
Howie?
Johnson and Weld, they don't make me want to vote for them. They're obviously leagues better than Trump or Clinton, but if I'm going to vote, I'm going to vote for someone. So I'm going to be looking at the down ticket things. We've got a Libertarian running for Congress in my district, but I'm not excited about him either. He used to work for McCain. He supported a lot of neocons. I'm suspect of that. If I go to the polling place, I'll vote for Johnson. But if there's not anyone on this ticket I want to vote for the first time in my life, I might just stay home and not vote for anybody.
All right. Well, I also agree that I am farther from the Libertarian Party than I've been after watching last night's performance. I was wholly uninspired. I cannot think that anybody watching that would have said to themselves, wow, these guys really present a inspiring vision for America that I have to be a part of. And that's really a thing that bothers me quite a bit, is that you watch them, and even if their points were good, they are so uninspiring that you would not want to back them either way. So that was, incredibly disappointing. Hopefully they get another shot to make it better. So we're letting a little bit of a down note, guys, but tell you what, why don't you all join me? We'll go out on a high note. Join me in saying that we want everybody to live long and live free. Take us out, Marc Allan Feldman.
Some may ask, Feldman, is he that libertarian? I am that libertarian. I'm that be what you want to be libertarian, that you look good on TV libertarian, that Muslim libertarian, that Jew libertarian, that Christian, atheist, Hindu libertarian, that Rothbard libertarian, that Jefferson libertarian. You know I'm not messing libertarian. That LGBTQ libertarian, no sex libertarian, that MLK Jr. Malcolm X libertarian, that revolutionary honor hall Ron Paul libertarian, that Richard Winger Bill Redpath ballot access libertarian, that Daryl W. Perry no apologies anarchist libertarian, that Gary Johnson New Mexico success libertarian, that Austin Peterson freedom ninja in your face libertarian, that John McAfee world-class badass libertarian, that no pain, no gain, get those petitions signed in the rain libertarian, that sorry I'm not sorry libertarian, that can't stand the infringements and abuses libertarian, that right here, right now, no excuses libertarian. I'm that libertarian.